You ever get blamed for something so outrageous, so utterly not your fault, that you just sit there blinking like, did this really happen? Yeah, welcome to the worst chapter of my life. I'm Caleb, 26 now, but 3 years ago, I was 23 and about to be completely obliterated by the people who were supposed to have my back. You know, the blood is thicker than water crowd. Turns out that water has better taste than loyalty. Back then, I was still living at home in a quiet town in upstate New York. My parents, Rick and Joanna, weren't wealthy, but they were decent people. Or so I thought. My dad was a math teacher, and my mom worked long shifts as a nurse. We lived in a modest 2-story house that, while not fancy, had always felt like home. My older sister, Rachel? She was the golden child. 3 years older than me, the overachieving, go-getter, everyone loves Rachel type. She was already climbing the corporate ladder at some flashy marketing firm in Chicago. When she'd visit, she'd regale us with stories about her boss's yacht parties and overpriced sushi. I, on the other hand, was working part-time at a grocery store and dabbling in community college courses, still figuring my life out. But despite our differences, I thought we were fine. Not close anymore, sure. But I assumed we were just doing our separate adulting things. Nothing dramatic. Just life. That illusion shattered like a champagne flute at one of Rachel's fancy brunches the day her engagement ring disappeared. She'd come home for a week to plan her wedding. Her fiancé, Nathan, an actual lawyer with a trust fund and a face straight out of a GQ ad, had proposed with a family heirloom. A ring that probably cost more than my annual income. Big rock. There was a lot of gasping. Mom was obsessed. Dad was practically grooming Nathan to be his new favorite child. It happened on a Tuesday. I was home alone, gaming in my room with the door closed, living my quiet life. Rachel had gone shopping with Mom earlier. Around 4 p.m., I heard the front door open, their voices trailing in from downstairs. Nothing unusual. I tuned it out. Then I heard her scream. I thought someone had broken in. I ran downstairs and found Rachel hyperventilating in the kitchen. She spun around, pointed at me like she was on an episode of Law and Order, and screamed. You took my ring! I blinked. What? She said she'd taken it off to wash dishes and left it on the counter. Now it was gone. And since I was the only one home? Obviously, I must have stolen it. I laughed. Genuinely. I thought she was joking. But she wasn't. She went full detective mode, accusations, wild theories, motive. You're jealous. You've always resented me. You probably wanted to sell it for quick cash. Mom and Dad came home mid-freak-out, and Rachel hit them with the greatest one-woman courtroom performance of the year. And the worst part? They believed her. My mom cried. How could you, Caleb? My dad looked at me like I was a stranger. We raised you to be better. It was like watching my world dissolve in real time. And no matter how many times I said I didn't take it, that I didn't even know she'd taken it off, they weren't having it. They tore through my room. Dresser drawers, closet, under the mattress, everything. And no ring, of course. But they did find the money I'd been saving, a few $100 from my grocery job. That was enough for Rachel to double down. This is it, she said. He sold the ring. This is the money. I told them I'd been saving for college classes. They didn't listen. The next few days were pure hell. They hounded me to confess. Said they'd call the cops. That they'd give me a chance to make it right. Eventually, they didn't give me a choice. They told me to leave. They gave me 48 hours. 2 days to pack up my life and leave the only home I'd ever known. The same house where I learned to ride a bike, lost my first tooth, and built pillow forts with the sister who now thought I was a thief. I tried reasoning with them. I begged quietly, not with tears, but with that sinking kind of calm that shows up when you know no one's listening. My mom just kept crying. My dad barely looked at me. Rachel? She wouldn't even come downstairs. The victim of a crime that never happened. I packed my backpack and an old duffel bag, clothes, my laptop, a couple notebooks, and a photo of me and Rachel as kids that I don't even know why I kept. Some part of me still wanted to believe this wasn't real. That they'd come to their senses. That someone would call out the obvious. Instead, I got silence. The day I left, I walked past Rachel's room and saw her at the window, watching me. For half a second, I thought I saw hesitation. Guilt, maybe? Then she turned away. And that was it. Homeless. Disowned. Alone. I didn't have many options. Most of my friends had moved away or gone off to college. But my old high school best friend, Marcus, had just moved back from military service. He offered me his couch, no questions asked. His apartment was tiny. 1 bedroom, paper-thin walls, no AC. But that couch? It saved my life. For the next few weeks, I took whatever work I could find: dishwashing, dog walking, moving boxes, scrubbing floors. Anything to scrape together enough for a motel room when Marcus needed his space. There were nights I slept in the back of my friend's car. At night, I skipped meals just to make gas stretch. But the worst part? It wasn't the money. It was the silence. No one from my family checked in. Not even to pretend to care. Not even to ask where I went. I might as well have vanished. Rachel had effectively erased me. And the longer the silence dragged on, the louder my anger grew. Because I hadn't done anything wrong. And they threw me away anyway. Eventually, I caught a break, a warehouse job on the outskirts of town. Grueling hours, freezing in the winter, boiling in the summer. But it was steady. And slowly, piece by piece, I started rebuilding. I found a room to rent with a few other guys from the warehouse. Shared kitchen, 1 busted bathroom, and a fridge that always smelled like something had died in it. But it was mine. I kept my head down. Worked double shifts when I could. And when I wasn't working, I studied. I signed up for online business classes. Something practical. Something that gave me structure. Something I could control. But even as things stabilized, the pain didn't fade. I'd lie awake replaying that week over and over. I wondered how Rachel could turn on me like that. How could my parents, my own parents, believe I was capable of something so cruel? The holidays hit especially hard. Families shopping together. Christmas lights going up. Hearing Silent Night in stores made my stomach twist. Because all I could think about was the way my mom used to hum that song while wrapping gifts. I missed them. But I couldn't forgive them. They didn't just out me. They erased me. And I had to figure out who I was without them. If you've ever had everything ripped out from under you, then you know this truth. Rebuilding isn't cinematic. It's not a montage of gym workouts and inspirational music. It's working overnight shifts in steel-toed boots while your hands crack from cold warehouse air. It's making instant ramen with hot tap water because the microwave's broken again. It's dragging yourself to online classes with half a brain cell after 12 hours on your feet, not because you're motivated but because you're scared of being stuck. But rebuilding? It's also strangely powerful. Because the lower you start, the more everything becomes yours. My life became structured. Work, study, sleep. Repeat. I wasn't going out. I wasn't scrolling socials. I didn't have time to sit and wallow in what had been stolen from me. And the best part? People started to notice. At work, I showed up early, stayed late, and didn't complain. Within 6 months, I was promoted to shift lead. Not glamorous, but it came with a raise and a little respect. At home, my roommates and I started forming a weird little support group. Guys just trying to stay afloat, figuring it out as we went. We grilled cheap burgers on weekends, watched old games, and swapped stories. It wasn't a family, but it was something. Then there were the classes. Business management. Supply chain logistics. Even some entry-level marketing courses. Turns out I liked learning when it wasn't being compared to Rachel's Ivy League nonsense. For the first time, I didn't feel like the lazy brother, or the one who just doesn't apply himself. I was building something. But now and then, a text would flash on my screen, a number I didn't recognize at first, then saw the familiar area code. Mom. Voicemails I didn't listen to. Please come home. Let's talk. We miss you. We can fix this. Too late. My father sent texts too. Dry, vague messages like, we need to talk. Or, this has gone on long enough. They didn't know how to say they were sorry, so they said nothing useful at all. Rachel? She only reached out once. She showed up at the warehouse. I didn't go out to meet her. I couldn't. Not then. She'd stood by while I was thrown out like garbage. She'd let me be humiliated, doubted, banished, and never once said, "Wait. Maybe he didn't do it." That silence cost too much. So I ignored her. 3 years passed. 3 birthdays. 3 Christmases. 3 years of watching other families gather while mine stayed silent. 3 years of silence spoke louder than anything else they could have said. But also, 3 years of growth. By the end of that third year, I had a new life. One I had built from scratch. My job was stable. I had savings. I was considering moving into my apartment. No roommates. Just me. I wasn't rich. I wasn't flashy. But I was free. And then, just as I was beginning to feel settled, the past showed up again. An email. From my dad. Subject line: "We need to talk." It wasn't long. Just a few lines. Something about the ring. Something about how they'd found it. Something about how Rachel had been wrong. 3 years. That's how long it took for the truth to show its face. 3 years of being the thief, the black sheep, the shame of the family. And all it took to unravel that narrative? A weird noise from a garbage disposal. I almost didn't open the email. It was short. No greeting. Just, "We need to talk. It's about the ring." At first, I thought it was bait, another manipulation tactic. Maybe they wanted a fake reunion. Maybe Rachel was spiraling, and they needed me to come play therapist. But curiosity got the better of me. I called my dad. He answered on the first ring. And the voice that came through? Not angry. Not defensive. Just tired. Like guilt had aged him in dog years. They'd found the ring. Inside the garbage disposal. Rachel had dropped it there 3 years ago while washing dishes. Didn't realize it at the time. Must have knocked it in with a sponge or a plate. The disposal had started making weird noises last week, so they called a plumber. Guess what he pulled out? A diamond ring. Rachel recognized it instantly. The one she'd accused me of stealing. The one that detonated our entire family dynamic. I didn't say anything at first. My dad kept talking, said she cried when she saw it. Said she realized, in that moment, how wrong she'd been. All said they felt terrible. I wish I could say I felt relief. Or joy. Or justice. What did I feel? Rage. Because yeah, I'd always told the truth. And yeah, they finally believed me. But it had taken 3 years. 3 birthdays. 3 Christmases. 3 years of scraping by, healing alone, dragging myself out of the hole they buried me in. And now they wanted to make things right. As if an apology could retroactively feed me when I was broke. Or replace the nights I sat alone with no one to call. Or return the pieces of me I'd lost trying to prove I wasn't what they said I was. Rachel started calling nonstop. Messages. Emails. Even a handwritten letter. Please forgive me. I was stressed. I truly thought. She thought. That was the best she could offer. That she had thought I'd do something so low, so pathetic, as to steal a ring and sell it for cash. I didn't respond. But I didn't block them this time. Something in me needed closure. So, after days of pacing and spiraling and talking it over with Marcus, I agreed to meet them. Neutral territory. A coffee shop in a neighboring town. Not home. Never home. Just far enough to keep it clean. I got there early. Sat in the corner. Watched the door like a paranoid ex. When they walked in, time warped. My mom looked older. Frail. Her eyes filled with tears the second she saw me. My dad, who had always seemed solid, looked like a statue cracked at the joints. Rachel? Couldn't even meet my eyes. We sat. No one spoke at first. Just air, thick with shame and memories. Then they broke. All 3 of them. Words falling over each other, apologies, regrets, sobs. My mom said she never stopped blaming herself. My dad admitted he thought about it every day, wishing he'd questioned things more. Rachel said she couldn't sleep most nights, that she'd hated herself ever since. They begged. For forgiveness. For a second chance. For family. And I listened. Not because I wanted to absolve them. But because I needed to hear it. I told them the truth, that I'd suffered. That I'd felt abandoned, betrayed, discarded. That I'd spent every ounce of energy just trying to believe I wasn't what they said I was. I told them I didn't know if I could ever come back from that. They said they understood. And for once, they didn't try to guilt me. Or rush me. Or play the "we're still your parents" card. We left it there. I didn't go home with them. I didn't hug my mom. I didn't forgive them. But I left knowing that they finally understood what they'd done. And that was something. I didn't sleep the night after the coffee shop meeting. I thought I would. I thought hearing them admit it, all of it, would finally let me breathe. Instead, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do now. Forgive them? Rebuild something? Pretend the past didn't happen? Because here's the thing about apologies. They don't come with instructions. And they don't erase the damage. The meeting had cracked something open, sure. But it didn't fix anything. The pain was still there. The betrayal was still fresh. I could still hear Rachel screaming that I stole her ring. Still see my mom sobbing, my dad searching my room like I was a stranger. And now, they wanted me back? Like I could just come home and sit at the table again like nothing had happened? No. I'd built something in their absence. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Every bit of it had come from me, no handouts, no help, no support system. Just grit. I had my routine now. My job. My classes. My circle. And I liked who I'd become. Stronger. Sharper. Independent. I didn't want to lose that by stepping back into their orbit. So I made a decision. I called them. And this time, I spoke with clarity, not from pain, not from anger, but from power. I told them I appreciated their apology. That I could see the effort. That it mattered. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. I needed time. I needed space. I needed boundaries. I said I wasn't ready to forgive them. That I didn't know if I ever would. But I was willing to start small. A few check-ins. A text now and then. Maybe, the occasional phone call. I made it clear, this would happen on my terms or not at all. My mom cried again, of course. But she didn't push. My dad said he understood. Rachel didn't say much at all, just texted me later that night, thanking me for the chance. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I couldn't carry her feelings too. Not anymore. This wasn't about what they wanted from me. It was about what I needed from myself. So, I started therapy. It wasn't easy. The first session felt like scraping broken glass off my insides. I hadn't talked about the pain out loud in years. My therapist, a woman named Dana, didn't press. She just listened. Nodded. Asked real questions. We dug deep. Not just into the ring. But into everything before it. The years of being second best. The constant comparison to Rachel. The quiet way my voice was always the least important in the room. Turns out that ring wasn't the first crack. It was just the one that split everything wide open. Therapy gave me language. Gave me tools. Helped me understand that being angry didn't make me bitter. That setting boundaries didn't make me cold. That I could love my family and still protect myself from them. It's weird, learning how to exist outside of their shadow. But freeing, too. I started going to the gym. Nothing intense, just moving my body. I stopped eating instant noodles every night, and actually bought groceries that required cooking. I started laughing more. Sleeping better. Every part of my life got a little lighter. But the holidays? Still rough. Seeing families in commercials, hearing carols in stores, it still hit a nerve. I missed what we used to be. Not what we became. And I don't know if I'll ever get that version of us back. But I do know this. I'm not going back to who I was. I'm not shrinking to make them comfortable. If we're going to build something new, it's going to be brick by brick, and it's going to start with them doing the work. Not me. A strange thing happens when people finally realize how badly they hurt you. They start overcorrecting. Calls. Messages. Little. Just checking in. Texts. Photos of the dog. Weather updates. Memes even. My parents were trying. And for the most part, they were following the rules I'd laid down. My mom started calling once a week, just like we agreed. At first, the conversations were stiff. like talking to someone you used to know who's trying to find their way back in. But they started getting easier. Not deep, but warmer. Safer. She'd ask about my classes. Tell me how the hospital was short-staffed again. We talked about recipes. Neutral ground. My dad? He wasn't a talker, never had been. But he emailed me, short things. Stuff he thought I'd find interesting. An article about warehouse logistics. A video of a dog doing math. One day, he sent me an old photo of me as a kid, sitting on his lap, holding a calculator. That one stayed with me. It didn't fix anything. But it reminded me that maybe he was trying, in his quiet way. And Rachel? Yeah. That was still complicated. She texted? A lot. Long messages. Emotional apologies. Recaps of therapy sessions. Explanations for her behavior. The whole thing. I didn't ignore her. But I didn't respond either. Not yet. Because here's the truth, she hurt me the most. She knew me. She grew up with me. She had every reason to know I would never steal from her, and she accused me anyway. Without hesitation. Without a doubt. And when Mom and Dad believed her, she didn't stop them. She let it happen. That doesn't disappear just because she says, sorry. So yeah, I was holding the line. Letting them in slowly, on my schedule, not theirs. And you know what? It felt powerful. It felt right. Meanwhile, life on my end was changing too. I got promoted again at work. I'm now managing inventory for the whole evening shift. More responsibility, better pay. My team actually respects me. Which is still wild, considering 3 years ago, I was couch surfing with a trash bag full of clothes. I started thinking about the future again. Like actually planning. Moving out of the shared house. Getting my place. Maybe even transferring to a better school. There's a state college about an hour away with a business program. It offers night classes. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted. I told my therapist, Dana, about all this during one of our sessions. She smiled and said, that's what growth looks like. When your future stops being about surviving, and starts being about choosing. That line stuck with me. Because that's what this whole thing had become, a choice. Do I let them back in? Do I forgive Rachel? Do I rebuild this family, or leave it behind? There were no easy answers. Still, we aren't. But there was one thing I did know. I wasn't doing this for them. Every inch of this healing process? That was for me. So I could finally breathe again. So I could let go of the bitterness without letting them off the hook. So I could have peace, real peace, without pretending nothing happened. So I kept showing up for myself. I made time for friends. Started cooking better. Started sleeping through the night without waking up from that old dream where I'm being thrown out of my own house. And slowly, the weight started lifting. I wasn't over it. But I wasn't buried by it anymore either. I was becoming someone new, someone who didn't need their approval to feel whole. Someone who could look in the mirror and say, you made it. You earned this life. 6 months ago, if you had told me I'd be packing for a new job in a new city, with real benefits, a real future, and real peace of mind, I probably would have laughed in your face. Not because I didn't want it, but because I didn't think it was possible for someone like me. But here I am. Boxes packed. New apartment lined up. A job in logistics management that'll pay more than I've ever made, with health insurance and a 401k. And most importantly, it's mine. All of it. No one handed this life to me. I wasn't lifted by guilt or pity or some delayed sense of familial obligation. I built it brick by brick while carrying the weight of a betrayal I didn't deserve. And now, I'm letting that weight go. But not because they finally said they were sorry. Because I'm done letting it define me. Before making the final decision to move, I sat down with Dana, my therapist, one more time. We talked through everything, the progress, the pain, the fear of letting go of even the hope that things could go back to what they were. She said something that hit me right in the chest. Sometimes, healing means accepting that closure doesn't always come with resolution. Sometimes, it's just a choice to stop bleeding. That's what this move is. Not a goodbye. Not a dramatic ending. Just a new beginning. I told my parents last week. They were shocked. Sad too. My mom cried, said she thought we'd have more time to rebuild. My dad nodded quietly and said he understood. I think in his way he meant it. Rachel took it the hardest. She showed up to my apartment unannounced, eyes puffy, voice trembling. She told me she felt like she was losing me all over again. She begged me to reconsider, to stay closer, to give her more time to prove she'd changed. But here's the truth, I told her. You lost me when you decided I was guilty without a second thought. You don't get to be upset that the consequences are finally real. It wasn't said in anger. It was said in peace. Because I wasn't yelling. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't seeking revenge or demanding more apologies. I was done explaining myself. We hugged, eventually. A quick one. Polite. Not warm. Not hostile. Just something. And that's where we left it. In the past. We've had a few family dinners lately, stiff, awkward but civil. There's an effort. The kind that comes with shame, not trust. And I'm okay with that. Because of trust? That takes time. And I control the timeline now. Forgiveness? It's happening. Quietly. Slowly. Not for them, for me. Carrying that weight for 3 years nearly broke me. And now I've dropped it. I'm excited about this move. Nervous, sure. But mostly excited. A new city, new work, a new apartment where everything in it, from the couch to the kitchen towels, will have been chosen by me. I don't know what kind of relationship I'll have with my family in the future. But I know this. I'm not going back to who I was. I'm not shrinking, not explaining, and not chasing anyone's approval. I'm Caleb. I survived. I rebuilt. And I'm still rising.